Many different ways that the Fed can influence interest rates, and one of the interest rates they try and influence the most actively is the overnight Fed funds rate, and that's usually the interest rate that they're talking about when they try and implement the monetary policy. So I'm just basing this on what they've said about what's going to happen next. So they had originally said we're going to have 50 basis points increases for as far as the eye can see, probably till the end of the year. And that is the direction and the path that they were going to go down. So expectations were we're going to be at 3.5% or 4% in terms of the overnight Fed funds rate by the end of the year. What they've said more recently is, well, yes, we're going to have 50 basis point increases for the next two meetings, but then we believe we have some wiggle room and some flexibility in terms of increasing interest rates further. And that's why the equity markets have basically taken off in recent weeks. And I think crypto markets have followed that more recently. That sort of a slight upward trajectory, as the Fed is basically saying, well, those increases in the Fed fund rates that we talked about before are not really baked in now. The next two are, but after that, we'll wait and see. The other question is then, how do they impact how does they implement monetary policies to impact other interest rates? The other area they've really been influencing interest rates is through the mortgage market and buying large amounts of mortgage-backed securities and pushing basically interest rates on mortgages way down. Now, they've basically slowed that down. Now, they're no longer a net buyer. They're basically still out there in the market buying mortgages, but only to the extent to top off their portfolio and make sure it doesn't decline in value as people repay those mortgages. But very recently, they've actually started to buy a bit more aggressively again in the market. And so we've seen interest rates on 30-year mortgages actually go down the past 2 weeks. And that's a direct reflection of the Fed going out there and buying a bit more again. So you see that interest rate is also directly dependent on the Fed and their implementation of monetary policy. They're buying all the mortgages they can find.